everyone, welcome back. Welcome to what happens when Kendra has creative time on a longish plane flight. I had two back-to-back trips earlier this month, and I got to thinking about the question that Jenny asked in the comments about how I can limit myself to 5 projects and how I deal with essentially ignoring all of the others not being worked on. And I'm sure all of us have this issue because it's not like we just have 1 or 2 things that we're working on. There's so many things that are just asking to be addressed at any given time. So I'm probably paraphrasing her question, and I tried to answer in a comment, but I decided it might be better to have a visual for how my brain thinks about this. So yes, I am a spatial thinker. For those of you who don't know what that is, spatial thinking allows you to understand the location and dimension of objects, and it allows you to visualize and manipulate objects and shapes in your head. So when I think of how I'm handling projects, this is really how my brain thinks of it. It was actually further reinforced recently when I was reading Work Clean, and I'll put the name of the author down below. And he also used a similar idea with a cooking metaphor of front and back burners. So let me actually show you what I'm talking about. So I have a stack of projects. The red ones are the ones that are most important ones, and the yellow ones are ones that are maybe my backlog or ones that are coming in. And this works for any time frame, but to start, let's say I'm looking at my month. So I'm going to choose my 5 monthly projects. If I complete a project from that list of 5, it's going to move to complete. And then I'm going to choose a new project. So that's kind of the most simple scenario. If I have a project that can't be worked on for right now, for whatever reason, so maybe it's waiting for input for someone else, waiting on time or money or other resources, it goes into this like on hold waiting for section. So we're going to move project 2 up there. And I choose a new one to replace it while I'm waiting. So we're just going to add a new project in here. If the project I just moved on hold is a piece of a higher level or longer time frame project, I might actually see if there's another piece related to that higher level project that I can work on. So that might be like this next thing. So, you know, maybe I am planning on planting a garden, and right now I'm waiting for maybe my garden beds to arrive because I'm doing a raised garden bed project. In the meantime, I could take another project of maybe deciding what I want to plant. So I'm still moving that longer term project forward, but this one is still on hold. The other option is I can look for an independent month-sized project or another project that can move a different higher level project forward. So usually I evaluate in that order. I'm looking for whatever this is related to at a higher level and seeing if I can work on that, another project related to that, or I look at what are the other higher level things I have going on and what else can I work on to move that forward. So let's say that thing I was waiting for finally got back to me. So my garden beds arrived. So I can only have a total of 5. So if I don't have another project that is moving to on hold or complete at the exact same time, I have to make some decisions. When something happens that would allow me to take that project off hold, I have to evaluate. Is this important enough to bump one of my current projects on hold, or do I have any current projects that are wrapping up soon enough that the on hold project could wait until that's completed? So let's say that I actually, right about the time my garden beds were coming in, I decided what I wanted to plant. So that's actually done, so I can move this back into its original place and keep working on it. So how often do I look at my on hold projects? So I review all of my on hold projects when another project is completed or goes on hold, and also during my reviews. So I ask for each one. Can it be moved back to active right now? Or is it or has it become more important than anything else I'm working on right now? So if this project is still in on hold status, but the garden beds come back, but I know I have a limited amount of time to put it together and get dirt and stuff like that because the dirt's being delivered tomorrow. So I might be like, yeah, I can wait on deciding what I want to plant. Let me get the garden bed put together. So since I've been doing this a while, I usually start by choosing 5 quarter-sized projects, then look at what month or week sized bite of that project I need to complete to move that quarterly project along. If you're just starting, choose 5 projects for the time frame that is most tangible for you. And honestly, I say quarterly, but my month-sized projects right now are actually most tangible for me. There's a lot of things in my life that are moving pretty quick, and so month is actually a time frame that I can best determine, yes, I can work on this. So what you want to do is, if you're just starting, look at what length of time you're able to reasonably predict an outcome for. So it could be a week, could be a month, maybe it's a quarter. I try to link all of my levels, so a month-sized section of a quarter-sized project, for example, but that's not always how it works. Sometimes it's just a project at that time frame because that's how long it's going to take. I'm not going to say, cleaning out my closet, I'm going to make that a quarter-sized project. That's probably at most going to be a week, depending on how in-depth I'm getting into it. So during my monthly and quarterly reviews, I also scan the pending projects that I've decided not to start on yet. So that's this whole stack of things here. And I want to make sure that none of these are or have become more important than what I'm currently working on. So if I have something new that comes in that I know is important, I'm going to take a look. I'm going to reevaluate everything that's in my 5 projects. Is this something that I need to actually start working on and put one of these on hold? So maybe this isn't quite as important, so I'm going to pause it and I'm going to start working on that one instead. If I know ahead of time that they're going to be important at a specific time in the future, I usually give them a start date and, if appropriate, a due date. For example, I know when I have to renew my real estate license, and I know how early I'm able to start working on it. So my start date would be about a year prior to when I need to be starting on continuing education, because that's only good for so long before it has to be retaken. And the due date is when I have to have everything submitted for the on-time renewal. So I'm also looking for projects that can be delegated or are no longer relevant, can either be put in someday maybe idea lists that I'm just not really committed to pushing forward or reviewing at this time, or maybe I just get rid of it altogether. So that's kind of how I keep this backlog of projects kind of whittled down a little bit. I might be like, I'm not really excited about that. So I'm gonna take that out of the mix of projects that I'm reviewing often. So the other question was, how can I disassociate from the pending projects so I don't feel like I have all the things looming and making me feel overwhelmed? So first, I commit to reviewing the list regularly in a time frame that makes sense to me. So I have a list of quarter-sized goals, or what I call goal outcomes, month-sized goals, and week-sized projects. And I review them either when a project goes on hold or at a minimum every quarter. Honestly, I'm usually moving projects on and off hold so often that I generally have a decent idea of what's lurking, so I'm not too concerned about it. But if I'm feeling like I might be missing something, then I'll review monthly or even weekly. Usually that's when I'm super busy and I have a lot of stuff coming at me pretty quick. Whatever it takes so it's not on my mind, that's kind of my rule, and it depends on how busy things are, what I have going on, and what's pending. Once you've started reviewing the list regularly, you'll probably start to remember what's on that list. Second, I remind myself I'm not saying no to what didn't get picked. I'm only saying not right now. I didn't throw this project away when I put it on hold. I just said, not right now. This isn't the most important thing. This is. So just remember, you're not saying no, just not right now. I can change my mind on my current project list if something happens that makes another project more important. These are not set in stone. Basically, I'm committed until I'm not, because something has changed my circumstances. Having this mindset lets me be flexible, so I'm not stubbornly completing projects that are no longer relevant, but yet I'm able to honor my commitments to the important things, so I'm not chasing after the next bright and shiny thing that has captured my attention. Although I will admit I do that sometimes. Let's be honest, I'm not immune to doing that, but I try to limit that to only one of my 5 if it's something that is feeding my energy or my soul. Sometimes that bright and shiny thing is that creative inspiration spark that I just need. So how do you know what's most important? Honestly, it's going to be something that's deeply personal to each person. I start by asking things like, what parts of my life do I feel like are in crisis mode? For this, I use either the Wheel of Life or the Moxie Life has a life compass that does the same thing, where you evaluate how satisfied you are with the various aspects of your life. I identify which ones are where I want them to be and which ones are not. And then I also look at what project, if I did it now, would make other projects easier or no longer necessary. I look at what do I have the time and energy to do right now in my current season of life. What projects have a deadline that are coming soon that cannot be negotiated to a later time? What projects on my list align with my values? Which ones, if completed, would be contrary to my values? Those are good ones to reevaluate. Is this something I really need to be doing? Is this something I need to get off my plate? Which projects make me excited to work on them and send my brain down rabbit trails of potential ideas just by reading the description? That usually, I would say, is a passion project. For the 5 projects you have, Charlie with Productive Flourishing usually says to use the 3-2 rule. Either 3 work projects and 2 personal, or vice versa. You don't want all of your projects to be work or all of them to be personal. You want to feel like you're moving all aspects of your life forward. I like to advocate for including one project, either work or personal, that is the type that makes you excited to get out of bed in the morning and gives you the creative drive and energy. To me, that's a well-balanced way of looking at projects and moving things forward in your life. Goals, projects. Not all work, not all personal. Find one that just makes you super excited to work on it. I hope that was helpful. I hope that gave you some things to think about when you're choosing your projects and figuring out what to work on and figuring out how to limit yourself to just 5 active ones. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. I'm happy to answer them. Maybe they'll turn into a different video if I feel like that's a better way of explaining. If you enjoyed the video, I'd appreciate a thumbs up. If you enjoyed this content, I invite you to subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Bye!